As an advocate of truth, you know that women shouldn't have to share locker rooms with men. Women shouldn't have to compete against male athletes, and they shouldn't be punished for speaking the truth. But across America, that's exactly what's happening. Men are being allowed to compete in women's sports, robbing girls of scholarships, medals, titles, and safety. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court has heard two cases, West Virginia versus PBJ and Little v. Hecox. That happened on January 13th, that could decide the future of women's sports nationwide. This could be a watershed moment in the fight to protect biological reality and fairness. Alliance Defending Freedom needs your voice today. Visit joinadf.com/Hanson or text Hanson to 83848 to add your name to their declaration and side with truth and fairness. That's joinadf.com/Hanson or text Hanson to 83848. What starts in women's sports spreads to schools, medicine, and parental rights. This is our moment to push back. Stand with Alliance Defending Freedom today.
Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. I'm speaking on the 71st day of the Iran war. But of course, it hasn't been 71 days. The last real date of bombing, an intense bombing, not a tit for tat here and there, but the actual day of kinetic activity was April 8th, the actual last day. So we've had about 31 days of negotiation. The actual war was only 40 days long so far. So all the anti-war opposition was about something that happened over a month ago. So what's going on in these negotiations? They've been in Pakistan, they've been through social media connections, there have been special envoys and neutral. What is going on? And there's two different strategies over this 30-day period. We know what the Iranian strategy is. It feels that although it's been debanked and it has no foreign currency outlets and it can't sell oil, and it's economically squeezed with a blockade, and it's losing $500 million a day in input, that hurts the citizens more than it does the regime. And they can keep going because they feel the United States is going to buckle. And they hold out one thing we don't talk about, and that is they do have missiles and drones that are in subterranean caverns they can bring out and use, not against Israel. They think that Israel has been disowned by the American people, so if they hit Israel, it won't pressure Donald Trump. It might pressure Israel to strike back, but they're not as worried about that. They want to hit the Gulf Council states, Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, Kuwait, Qatar. They want to hit them and destroy their ability to refine oil, to pump oil, or their water supplies, to put them out. And they hold that threat over the United States, and that causes tension. On the one side, Israel said, let's get going and finish the war. The UAE says, let's get going, finish the war. Donald Trump says, I'm negotiating. The UAE says, well, you don't negotiate your way home and leave us hanging. So there's all these tensions that Iran has created. And on top of that, there are four competing entities that we have to talk to. We have to talk to, apparently, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, these thugs that have hijacked the government, the regular army that has essentially the real power in the country, these figurehead elected officials in parliament that talk a tough game, but they have no power. And then we don't know the status of the theocracy, the Khamenei family. We don't know. We know the supreme leader's dead, but we don't know the status of his son, and we don't know the status of other ayatollahs. So that's their strategy, that if you try to press action, they will send maybe 500, 600 missiles and drones and hit the Gulf. And we don't know if they have that ability to. Our strategy is we have to squeeze them very quickly, economically, and not allow them to hit the Gulf. And the way that we have leverage over Iran is we can destroy them as a modern nation if we choose to hit dual targets. And we've done that in the past in every single war that I know of. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, First Gulf War, especially under George H.W. Bush, they hit everything in Iraq. And Bill Clinton in 1999, as I said, took out the whole power grid of Belgrade and every Yugoslavian bridge on the Danube. Barack Obama said, let's be careful about that in Libya. And then he hit cargo ships, he hit port facilities, hit communication centers, he hit a lot of civilian targets. We haven't done that. And we can do that. And we're not doing it because we feel that there's an Iranian resistance on the eve of assuming power and removing the regime, and they'll need that infrastructure. The other restraints on Donald Trump are, of course, the economy and the midterms, and they're intertwined. I kept saying to you that we have 7 months, 8 months, we have less than 6 months now from the midterm date of November 3rd, 2026. And the $64,000 question, of course, is what will be the status of the economy then? And this is a little tricky because all of the economic gurus, and even the Wall Street Journal in particular, have said that we were going to be in a near recession because of the price of energy. I never quite understood that because they had told us for years that energy had played a smaller and smaller role in our more and more diversified economy. But nonetheless, it hasn't yet. If you look at the indicators, the stock market is now at a record high, right in the middle of these negotiations. The GDP is constant at 2%, not great, but it's still, and it's going to grow. The level of foreign investment is already starting to show itself. There was almost record number of, I should say a record small number of people filing for unemployment. The jobs report was the new jobs report was well over 110,000. People had said it was only going to be 50. The price of oil, we were told, was going to go to 150. As I'm speaking today, it's $95. You've got to remember that when Donald Trump entered office on January 21st of 2025, the price was $80. So despite the attempt of the Iranians to stop the traffic coming into the Strait of Hormuz, it's only $15 more today than it was. And that's not going to calibrate that there's going to be more and more oil on the market, not just Russian oil that's being released, but Venezuelan oil, and we're going to increase pumping. So this muddies the waters, and now Donald Trump is starting to think, well, as time goes by and I have less and less time to jumpstart the economy before the midterm elections in which they'll blame me for inflation, for example, I got to get this war concluded. But I can't conclude it with them with the bomb. Otherwise, they're saying that I'm just like an Obama. So he has to determine, can I force them to give up their enrichment? Can I open the strait for everybody and destroy their PT boats and their ability to do anything with their rockets to hit ships? And can I do that in time for the economy to absorb that kinetic action and win the midterms? And the answer is, no one knows, because if the economy is this strong with all of these worries, and if Donald Trump were to hit very quickly some infrastructure in Iran and maybe seal the uranium in these mountains with heavy bombing, or to disable the ability to unload or load oil on Karg Island, he might be able to either do one of two things: force them into submission, or prompt a resistance movement to take power, or do so much damage, as many people have said. Well, they can't make war now for 20 years. If they have uranium, it's deep down inside a mountain, as for all we know. And they don't have any leadership. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, and they probably can't make any drones, and we can still, if we feel like it, blockade them, since there will be no agreement. And that means that he might have longer than he thinks he does. And instead of having less than 6 months, he might say the economy is pretty strong right now in the middle of the whole mess. And it might get even stronger as more oil gets on the market. And the chances that I can force them to cede to my demands, or I can inflict a level of punishment on them that it won't matter. They won't be able to do what they want to do, and that will even help me in the midterm. So we're in an era, a time, nexus of indecision and known unknowns. But the idea that both these countries are up against time constraints has been somewhat modified, because the Iranians feel that they can keep alive, and they don't care what the status of the people are. They can put them down, and they have missiles and drones to threaten and maybe get a longer negotiation. And we were told that, and we all thought that the midterms were the ultimate break on Donald Trump's range of options, and maybe it's not yet, because the economy has been rebounding in ways that no one forecast. Thank you very much. This is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to be notified for more content like this. You can also check out my own website at victorhanson.com and subscribe for exclusive features in addition.